Pop singer wears t-shirt. Is that the story of the day, the week, the month, or maybe the year? And I'm not even kidding either. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle here with Steve Green and Scott Ott, and this is Your Right Angle, this time dealing with pop sensation Rihanna. Now, as we've come to learn here on YouTube, for those of you watching on YouTube, there are certain words that you really can't talk about on YouTube freely. One of them is a V word that involves a needle, and I'm referring, of course, to the Victrola. So Rihanna came out a few weeks ago with some strong words about how she didn't completely trust the Victrola company. And this caused an enormous amount of backlash because you're not allowed to criticize the Victrola company. And Rihanna, being a billionaire, said, well, guess what? I'm not changing my mind and I'm not shutting up. And then today, as we record this, I see her with this photo. Here is a pop singer wearing a shirt that says, think while it's still legal. And it's got stars and a horizontal line on it, much in the fashion of any other Tea Party t-shirt that might actually be out there. Why does this matter? Well, I'll tell you why. Steve, I took a look at the Rihanna's one of her playlists on her YouTube channel. And I totaled the top 10 songs, and the total number of views comes to almost precisely, really almost exactly, on the top 10 songs on this one playlist, 2 billion views. Now, let's put that in context. That playlist of Rihanna, the biggest single one on there is 993 million. That's one video. So let's just go with that. I'd be willing to bet you a significant amount of money that one song has been seen by more people than all of the conservative political commentary on YouTube since YouTube has begun. I'd be willing to bet you that one 3-minute video has been seen by more people than everything that I've done, Steve Crowder's done, Glenn Beck has done, Ben Shapiro, the whole pantheon, outdone by one of those videos on this list of 10. So, Steve, just a couple weeks ago, I did a Moving Back to America called Ashes to Ashes, and it talked about the ash conformity experiment. And it basically showed that people will do what other people are doing, and that the numbers for this are very high. However, it turned out that in this experiment, if there was a confederate, in other words, if the original experiment would be 4 people would say it's one thing and you would say it's the same thing, even though your own lionizer tell you it's not. But if there was one other person who agreed with you, even though you might be outvoted 4-2, if one person says, no, obviously this is the shorter string, then the number of people who agree goes down to about 0. So what I'm trying to say is this: if there's evidence that somebody agrees with your viewpoint, it basically shatters the social proof lever that is accomplishing all of this evil that's going on in this country right now. And for somebody with this kind of popularity to come out with a t-shirt that is essentially saying to other people who may have a problem with the Victrola company, it's okay, I have a problem with them too, is an enormously, incredibly powerful thing, not just for Victrola issues, but for freedom in general. Got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. First of all, I need to correct your math. 2 billion views is very impressive, but I think if you'll recall, at our previous network, I did a very popular segment on bronies that received over 18 trillion views. So
is that what the number is?
I've got Rihanna beat hands down on that.
They're still watching it now.
Yeah. It's the reason YouTube got so big was my bronies segment from 2012 or whatever the year was. Yeah, there's something going on here. We're seeing it more and more in the popular culture, and this is great. What you reminded me of, Bill, is what life is like in North Korea today, or what life was like in the Soviet Union before it ended up on the ash heap of history, or any of the Eastern Europe countries, particularly East Germany, where the Stasi were so brutal. And that is the idea that conformity was so enforced that if you had dissident thoughts, you thought you were the only one thinking these impure thoughts.
That's how it works.
About the regime. And so you keep that to yourself. And that's what they want. They want your silence. Because, as you said in the example you gave, the science experiment, once the truth comes out, it's like the kid shouting the emperor has no clothes. Everybody suddenly realizes that everybody else is a dissident, and they were just too afraid to speak. And this is the danger of woke culture, if you can call it culture. What it seeks to do through social norms is the exact same thing that the Soviets and the North Koreans and the East Germans tried to do through physical intimidation, and that is to get you to shut up. Well, don't shut up. I know nobody's going to get Bill Whittle to shut up. I know nobody's going to get Scott Ott to shut up. Nobody's going to get me to shut up. But we are three small people compared to a billionaire with 2 billion YouTube hits like Rihanna.
That's just on 10. That's just on 10 of her videos.
On just 10 of her videos. Thank you for that correction. And that's huge. That's that's like Eric Honecker saying, you know what? I think this communism stuff is real bullshit. And boom, he was the leader of East Germany during the bad old days. It's huge. It's not going to be an overnight thing. Oh, did you see Rihanna's T-shirt? Did you see Nicki Minaj's tweet from a couple of weeks ago asking the same sorts of questions? But what it does do is it gets that ball rolling. As I said, these things don't happen overnight. It really took about 10, 15 years of total decrepitude for East Germany and then the Soviet Union to collapse. North Korea is still going strong, if you can call it that. But we don't have those kind of controls in this country. There's woke culture, yes, but we don't have the kind of physical intimidation, although they're trying it in Portland and Seattle and a few other places. But through most of America, no, we are still free. We are still free to speak our minds. So speak out. Go to the rooftop. Shout it out.
Scott, there's an old adage in journalism, which I'm sure you're well aware of. And that is pretty simple. Dog bites man is not a news story. Man bites dog is a news story. If I were to wear this T-shirt, or if Ben Shapiro or Glenn Beck or Donald Trump for that matter, no one would notice because that's our uniform. But the fact that this person, who's high on the victimology list on the left, by the way, black woman, immigrant, nevertheless has been so determined to speak her mind and has reacted so patriotically in the face of this, you cannot criticize things, because ultimately it's not about the Victrola. It's about anti-wokeness. The shirt says, think while it's still legal. If that's not the definitive anti-woke statement, then I don't know what is. And having it come from somebody who has so much access to the people who are getting the woke agenda pumped into their head on a daily basis, I just cannot stress how important this is. And I understand that very few people watching this can really see the point I'm trying to make. So I was wondering if maybe you could help me out here.
Well, I mean, first of all, it needs to be said that Rihanna is not a Republican. She's not a conservative. She was a critic in many ways of President Trump, and participated in the Women's March against President Trump, and she was involved in a lot of other kinds of activism. But Rihanna is also an immigrant from Barbados who grew up in rather modest means with working parents. Her dad was an alcoholic and crack addict, and Rihanna typically had to throw herself between her father and her mother while her father was abusing her mother. Grows up in tough circumstances, comes to the United States, and creates the American dream, and basically is now worth, the last estimate was somewhere around the neighborhood of $1.7 billion, has a multi-million-dollar mansion in New York, another one in London. And she has made a success of herself. And I think the T-shirt actually says it all, because it goes well beyond this particular issue that she was commenting on, to the idea that you might think, that you might use your head, that you might be able to find your way through things, not just simply by aping what other people do or just trying to, copy your favorite celebrity, for example, but actually put your own mind to work to solve your problems and to advance your dreams. And she hasn't made all her money just in musical performance, although she certainly has done a good job of that, and in acting and in producing. She also owns a couple of companies that have products. So she's really an impressive person who, if you asked her what she thought on all the political issues, you'd probably find she disagrees with you 90% of the time. But I'm for anybody who stands up in public with a t-shirt that says think while it's still legal. Because the only thing I have ever said to young people who disagree with me ideologically is, I'm glad you're interested. I'm glad you're engaged. I'm glad there are things in this world that excite you and bother you. Keep asking questions. Keep pursuing it, because ultimately the truth will out. The last thing in the world I want to do is shut down debate with somebody who disagrees with me by telling them what I think and telling them that they're an idiot for what they think. I want them to keep thinking, and that's what I love about this story.
Yes, and think while it's still legal is I would say put it on the money, but nobody touches money anymore. Be nice if every time you turned on your device, you had to look at a screen that said think while it's still legal for 5 seconds before you could do anything after that. But that's why this is so important, why it is so important. And when we were talking about this, I guess about a year ago, maybe a little more, with Kanye West, also the issue is that she has street credibility. She's got street cred. She is not a Republican tool. She can under no circumstances be branded a turncoat or any of these things. No, she is the real deal. She has millions and millions of followers. And for this young woman to come out and say, think while it's still legal, she's basically saying two things. She's doing everything that Scott said, which is saying think, but the while it's still legal is an indication of the impending doom that is coming to us through this woke philosophy. It is of monumental importance in ways that I cannot possibly quantify, but which I know are 100% absolutely enormous and real. Think while it's still legal is something that we should all be wearing, and nobody would notice it. But when she wears a shirt like that, people get the message. And it's not just large numbers of people. It's large numbers of young people. It's large numbers of the people who need to hear it the most. Again, that one song of hers seen, I'm sure, by more people, one song, than every single conservative political comment that has ever lived on YouTube. That is the kind of power we're talking about. They're not coming after us with guns. They're not. They're coming after us with stories, with celebrities, with ideas, and with narratives. And when we're talking about billionaires like Zuckerberg and all the rest of these high-tech guys that are coming against us, conforming us, forcing us into this groupthink, to have another billionaire stand up and say, no, I don't think I'll be doing that today, is of monumental importance. And I say good for her. And I'll add this one final thing in closing. She's gotten to the think before it's too late pretty much not only on her own, but in swimming in an incredibly powerful current that's going the other way. It often makes me wonder what would happen if somebody were to sit down with a person like this, or all of them, for an hour. It's all it would take is an hour, and just explain to them what this whole thing that we believe in really is, not what they've been told it is. Turn this thing around and, I don't know, give me a week. I just need some phone numbers and make some calls, take some meetings. We'll have lunch. That'll do it for this edition of Right Angle, made possible by the members at BillWhittle.com who get the think before it's too late thing and have gotten it for pretty much all of their lives. We're only here because there's a group of people out there who firmly believe in think before it's too late, and they're the ones who are paying to keep these shows coming to you. So if you want to be one of those think before it's too late folks, before it's too late, then head on over to BillWhittle.com. We'd love to have you as a member. Or if you want to make a one-time donation, that's perfectly cool with us too. For Steve Green and Scott Ott, I'm Bill Whittle. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Right Angle.